Not pleasant. I have to
Not
be honest.
pleasant.
I said there was blood. I had
Being
more
shot is
blood.
not
I didn't
much
know
fun.
I didn't know I had that much blood. The doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. I was telling somebody you have instances like this, or like a lot less than this, where you feel it's a surreal situation, and I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew immediately that it was at the ear.
Yeah.
And because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, "Bullets, bullets!" Get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly, and we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was for those people that don't believe in God. I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart even more
maybe
now.
It's a sign. Maybe that's a sign.
It's an immigration sign.
You highlighted a serious issue, and at that moment, the bullet missed your, hit your ear, but missed your head. I mean,
the amazing thing is that the sign, I said, bring down that sign on immigration, and it was literally about an eighth of a second where it would be good, and after that it was going to be a disaster, no matter which way you were facing. But it just had that perfect angle, which was exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey, who a firefighter, a great gentleman, a great Trumper. He was just a fantastic family and a fantastic man. And a friend of mine came up, Elon, and said, "I'd like to give the family some kind of help." And I said, "All right, that's great." He said, "Do you mind?" I said, "I don't mind at all." And he wrote out a check for $1 million, gave it to the wife. And, she said, "This is really nice, but I'd rather have my husband back," which is a nice thing for somebody to say, to be honest. She's great. The family is great. And we raised a lot of money for them and for two other gentlemen who are unbelievable people also. They were hit really badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and they did. The doctors in the Butler area, I tell you, they were incredible. They saved the two, and they were really hit tough, both of them, equally. And we thought, my first question was, because I heard bullets flying over me, and I said, how many people were killed? Because we had a massive crowd there, a tremendous thousands and thousands of people, and there was no land. I mean, it was all people. So I said, how many people have been killed? Because I knew there were other shots being fired. And they said, we don't know yet, but some people have been badly hurt. And I have to give the Secret Service sniper, they call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper, because he didn't know there was a problem. He's an extraordinary shot, obviously, and he didn't know there was a problem. And he was able to pick it all out within 5 seconds. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. The shooter was 130, but he was on the opposite side of the field and the podium. And he saw the smoke and the flame from the gun, immediately recognized it, and immediately took a shot. And it was one perfect shot from very far away. And if he didn't do that, Elon, he would have. I mean, if he would have, a lot more people could have been badly hurt and killed. So I have to take my hat off to him, because that's also a surreal. He's been with them for 23 years, and he's never had anything like this. And all of a sudden he has to act, and it's a very tough thing to act and to be shooting somebody. But he saw the He saw the gun, saw the smoke, saw the flame from the gun, very far away. I obviously has very good eyes. He's got very good vision, which I assume you have to have in that particular work. But he took aim very quickly, and they say it was approximately 5 seconds from long range, one bullet. If that didn't happen, because the shooter had a lot of bullets, he had a lot of cartridges up there with him. So,
well, I mean, that's clearly, he was very competent in taking that shot to stop the attempted assassination. But I mean, there does seem to be, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that, like, how on earth does a shooter get on a roof 130 yards away? That seems crazy. I think most people people are wondering how on earth could such a thing happen.
Well, I view it as two ways. There should have been nobody on the roof. There were people, because there were so many tens of thousands of people there. There were people that were seeing him, and there was one woman with a red shirt and Trump all over it, and she's screaming, "That guy's got a gun!" You saw it probably. There's a guy up there with a gun.
I mean, it's like I guess, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, basically people wondering by pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun. And they're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed. That does seem crazy.
Well, they're going to learn from this. The communication between the local police, who sort of had an idea, and then ultimately a man lifted himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up, and he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get shot, but he was like pulling himself up, and because of that, he couldn't get to his gun, and he fell down. Actually, very badly hurt his leg, his ankle. I hear very badly, but he fell down, and he did. From what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun, and the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot. My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards, a bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf, sinking a 2-foot putt.
Yeah, it's not a tough shot.
It's not a long shot. The Secret Service person had the long shot. He had triple the distance actually. So it was a terrible thing. It's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down, and I went down based on, I think they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums, at a soccer match or some kind of a match, everybody flees. They call it a stampede, like cattle. But everybody, and a lot of people get killed with those stampedes. We had more people than you'd have at some of these matches or these games, and nobody left. You had a small group behind us in the grandstand, and that was full. And you look at it as it was taking place, and normally they'd be running. They didn't leave. They saw that I was hurt. They saw a lot of blood, and they saw that I went down. And it's almost like they wanted to be with me. Well, out front, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people in Butler, as far as the eye could see, and a lot of press too. There was many cameras on watching this. It's what makes it so different, because normally things happen that aren't good, but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras shooting it, so sort of amazing. But one of the interesting things was that you didn't have anybody flee. You didn't have anybody stampede. Nobody. And there were some people behind me. They stood up and they're looking like, I'll tell you, you want to have them in a foxhole with you. I want to meet some of those people because it's so different from what you heard. But so I was down. But the Secret Service guys, there were bullets flying right over my head. You could hear them go whizzing, and these guys came jumping on top of me, and a young lady, Kate, would jump. They moved so fast, and let me tell you, that took tremendous courage. Now, there was a lack of coordination. There was, obviously everybody understands that that building should have been covered, and
Yeah, I mean,
that was
I
the
think
big
that
thing.
I mean, looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the #1 spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like if you were to pick like what is the favorite, what if you so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building, the
You're
roof of
right.
that building would be #1.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better
No,
location. It's like
no, that
#1.
would have been the spot.
Um,
You know what people think
yeah,
is when the local policeman, who, by the way, he really he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer. And then when he got
yeah,
his head just peeking above, this guy standing there with a gun at his head. And when he fell down, again, hurt his ankle very badly, but he was making the calls. But what happened is the firing took place very soon. So what they
yeah,
think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the gun. He ran to the site and he started shooting fast. And maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean, he
yeah. But
he
as you
got
said,
me, but
he
it
would have
could have
hit.
been
I mean,
a much
yeah.
bigger problem.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So like there was it was a very near thing.
It was a
So
miracle. If I hadn't
um,
turned my head,
yeah,
I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly.
I would not.
Yeah,
I would not be talking to you.
Maybe